From the tightly packed streets of Long Beach in California, we head to the wide, expansive Canadian countryside as the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park welcomes us for what is now week 8 of the 26th season of Apex This iRacing League GT4 Tuesdays. And welcome along, everybody, to the Racer Nexus Network. My name is Alex Goldschmidt, and joining me in the Racer Nexus broadcast booth overlooking the start-finish straight is Chris Murphy. Before we get to qualifying, which is currently halfway through at the moment, let's give you a little bit of a reminder of the Canada still to go as we are heading into the final third of this series. Next week, we head to Virginia to VIR on February 10th. WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca in Salinas, California will be on February the 17th. The mountain itself, Mount Panorama in Bathurst, New South Wales, Australia, will be the penultimate stop on the tour. And then America's National Park of Speed, Road America, concludes things on March the 3rd. But still, we've had 7 races in the book so far. And after what happened at Long Beach, well, there have been some changes. But nevertheless, Brian Lemke leads the way in the Pro Division by 35 points ahead of Michael Brock, who has taken 3 wins in the series. Lemke has pretty much been our Mr. Consistency, or as Chris likes to say, Mr. Second Place at the moment. But nevertheless, Michael Brock can still close the gap up tonight if he continues the form that he's shown in the past few weeks. Derek Tyndall, Roman Bykov, Brian Zinn, Kent Kruger, Russell Abraham, Jesse Miga, Ozeskilu, Joseph Mayer round out your top 10. Then we go to our affectionately known mid-pack Larrys, and it is still Kyle Mavis who is leading by a big margin of at least 50 points ahead of Dan Corrido, who finally took a good result last time out at Long Beach, whereas Mavis had one to forget. Ryan Ryder and Rob Phelan round out your top 4. Rob Phelan has also been making inroads over the course of the past few weeks in his own right and rounds out your top 4. Sean Teeter places 5th ahead of Mike Bond. Harrison Mealy, Dylan Foster, Uwe Hale and James Dean round out your top 10. Now, before I bring Chris in, firstly, we want to say a big thank you to our good friends at Apex Sim Racing Shop, who are going to give you all, as always, a cheeky 5% discount off all purchases from their store. So the referral link is down in the description below. And on checkout, use the coupon code RACERNEXUS for 5% off all purchases from the website. And with that, a very good morning from me to a very good evening for Chris Murphy. Chris, good to be back with you once again. MOSPORT, very wide, very expansive, wonderful Canadian countryside, and also a very flowing, momentum-carrying track around here, which is 75 kilometres east of Toronto, as we are in the state of Ontario.
Yeah, back to Canada for us. We haven't been here in quite a while, but yeah, just one of the fastest tracks we're going to see out here too. Not really, we've jumped around pretty technical racetracks, but Canada is just going to be all out. Just a couple of tight corners right here. It's going to be all who can carry the momentum up. And I'm looking here at qualifying, and look at Mike Bond, one of our mid-pack Larry drivers, up here in the top 3 right now. He is showing some good pace in that Mustang.
Yeah, indeed. At the moment, with regards to the weather here, it's partially cloudy, but blue skies up above here in Ontario. Air temperature, that's 73 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 23 degrees centigrade. And then 87, nearly 88 degrees Fahrenheit on the track, which is just under 32 degrees Celsius. Wind to the northeast of around about 7 miles an hour, humidity of around about 27%. As all, we see a little bit of a moment there as there is a Porsche spinning off the circuit. That was Harrison Mealy, and the car alongside him, well, it's the man who's currently leading qualifying. It is Brian Lemke. Michael Brock, who's back in the Technicolor Mustang, has just gone off track, and that's there we see the Porsche still stuck there. As Brian Lemke at the moment has been the quickest in this qualifying session. Looks like he might gain a pole position once again, but Michael Brock, who we've really been seeing, has been doing really great guns. And obviously, first of all, we want to give a shout out to his son Jason, who we hope is still recovering well from his tonsillectomy he had a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure that Jen will be in the chat before long to cheer on hubby. But Joshua Soto, who we last saw out at Sebring last time, if you might remember what happened there, this man in the 07 Porsche Cayman came flying out of the blocks on all flat six derived cylinders, went and stormed to pole position. He is trying his level best. There's only 3 sectors to worry about here, but he has improved lap after lap. He's going to cross the line very shortly. And his lap just then was a 1:23.821. Now, did he cross the line before we went checkered? That's going to be a crucial point here, and he's going to pull to the right-hand side of the circuit, abort his lap, and that is going to mean he's going to be P3 after all was said and done. But Mike Bond in the mid-pack Larrys, who won last week at Long Beach, has really come to the fore and has made sure that he's going to be P4. That is an incredible result for the 123 gold and orangey copper and black Mustang. And then we see a new livery for Brian Zinn in the 82 Mercedes AMG GT4. He's currently running P7. Kyle Mavis and Nate Himmelsbach, who joined us first of all at Sebring a couple of rounds ago, rejoins us here. So we've got about, looks like we're going to have 28 possibly joining us on the field tonight here at this nearly 2.5 mile circuit, opened back in June of 1961. One of the other things about this circuit, Chris, that we're seeing, a lot of camber change, a lot of elevation changes as well to boot.
Yeah, a lot of elevation change. You got to watch out. A couple blind corners here you got to keep an eye out for. You know, at least the weather's good. We've seen some pretty hairy races here lately in the weather. And as you can see right here with Thomas coming up over the hill right here, just a little bit of a blind spot as he heads down into the corner. Looking really good out here. It's good to see Thomas back. I know a couple of races ago he had a little bit of a problem, but see him back out here with the Apex S Series. And let's see what he can do in that Porsche. No number on it. What is he showing? 84. There it is right there on the back bumper. But nice fancy looking livery there from Thomas. Looking really sharp out there tonight.
Yeah, you can't exactly miss that one. I mean, there's more changes than I've probably had hot dinners on a Sunday night. Especially when I'm travelling away, because my travels did start last week as Thomas goes a little bit deep into the corner, but that is now going to conclude our 10-minute qualifying session. Any newcomers here to us at Apex this GT4 Tuesdays, it's a 10-minute qualifying session, 45-minute race, which will require a mandatory stop due to fuel limitation, which is circuit dependent. All cars are fixed on their setup. Rain is possible. Variable weather can come in. All driving aids are disallowed apart from clutch assist. And more to the point, it will be the case of who will get the jump into turn 1, which is a sweeping 90 right. And then they go through into Clayton at turn 2, Quebec at turn 3, before they head into the Moss complex. And then onto the Mario Andretti straightaway before hitting the S's and then Whites, which is the final corner out of the 10. A brief onboard there on the inside of the 07 Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport of Joshua Soto, who will line up behind Mr. Consistency, Brian Lemke from Sky Lounge Motorsports, who switched. Did he? I think he switched yet last week, didn't he? Did he go to the Mustang? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he was in the Porsche last week, if I remember correctly.
Oh, no, he was in the Porsche, and he said that one felt really, really good, but he said, I wasn't too sure whether I was going to be using the BMW. Well, it seems like he's gone back to... it's sort of like saying better the devil you know. If you know the car inside and out like the back of your hand, then it's better to go there. As we see Michael Brock, it's the resumption of BMW and also Mustang on the front row. Austin Diltz joins us in the chat saying, let's go Thomas, Morgan and Dan. So that'll be Morgan Smith, Thomas Fisher and Dan Corrido, I would imagine, judging by our grid that we've got tonight. So it will be a full pace lap of what is now known as the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, formerly known as the MOSPORT International Raceway. It's located in a place called Bowmanville near Clarington. So as I said, about just under 50 miles east of Toronto. As we now get underway, as Brian Lemke leads the field. So let's take you through our starting grid for week 8 out of 12. And I was just about to say, you've got all the way down to row 8 already.
Oh, we better. Let's see here.
I don't know what happened there. Never mind. But it is Brian Lemke and Michael Brock that will be lining up on your front row. After that, it will be Joshua Soto and mid-pack Larry's Mike Bond, who took a blinding time to get there. Jesse Mia and Thomas Fisher.
Thomas the Tank, Thomas the Train, right there.
Yeah, Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah, the theme tune's been rolling around in my head for the last few days. Brian Zinn and Kyle Mavis round out row 4. And then rounding out the top 10, it's the man from St. Kitts and Nevis, Kevin Zhu. He's back in his trusty Aston Martin. Nate Himmelsbach rejoins us after a week's absence after round 6 at Sebring. Joe Mayer and Morgan Smith round out row number 6. And then row 7, it's going to be Russell Abraham and Thomas Lothrop rounding out that row. Row 8, it's going to be Sean Teeser and the Cam Waters Mustang Monster Energy tribute band alongside John Cooper in the Sky Lounge Porsche. And then row 9, Chad Stanowski and Justin Aitchison rounding out that row. Completing your top 20 will be Ryan Ryder and Oz Escalou in the Mercedes-Benz, the number 911. Dan Carrido and Russell Elizondo with the smartest cowboy hat on the grid rounds out row 11. Row 12, Kent Kruger and the Lego Speed Champions Mustang of Rob Phelan. Love that livery. I think it's one of the coolest that we've got on the grid. Harris Amelie and Josh Sheps set to start on row 13. James Dean in the 049 Porsche, due to start 27th. Well, Chad Stanowski is a no-show on the grid, so might be starting from the pit lane. But as always, Brian Lemke in the 041 Sky Lounge Motorsports BMW M4 GT4 has got the headlights ablaze as the Porsche safety car leads us around the circuit. This is where momentum, speed and confidence are going to be what you need here at MOSPORT as they come out of whites. Here we go, 45 minutes on the timer. It's Lemke versus Brock as we go green here at MOSPORT for week 8. And into turn 1, Joshua Soto looking to the inside, Michael Brock looking to the outside. And this could be very crucial going into Clayton. Brock will have the inside line on Soto. But at the moment, the Mustang just about to draw level. Jesse Mia looks like he's losing a little bit of time and has just been passed by Thomas Fisher in the, looks like a Falcon tyre livery, but there's been a big incident in the middle, and Kevin Zhu has just been turned around 360, and it's caused dramas. Kyle Mavis involved. Who else was that in the back? There was a Porsche trying to scramble its way back to the correct direction, and that, unfortunately, is Nate Himmelsbach, who started 7th, so a big chain reaction happened coming through into Clayton, but the top 7 have started to break away, and at the end of that will be Brian Zinn in the 82 Mustang, sorry, Mercedes. Morgan Smith up 4 places. Dan Carrido started 21st, now runs 11th, right behind Ryan Ryder. So, but yeah, Nate Himmelsbach, the biggest loser in that one. Thomas Fisher in the Satellite Racing 272 car. We're going to have a look at the replay here, and yeah, there's been a touch, and it was it was Himmelsbach into Kevin Zhu, and then Himmelsbach clips a rotating Kyle Mavis, gets spun around. So it looks like Nate Himmelsbach started the incident and then got the rough end of the stick on that one quite clearly. So unfortunately for Nate, he's going to make sure that he gets back up, but Harrison Mealy has ended up at the bottom end of the field and he runs 27th. So, but in the meantime, it's back to where we have been for the majority of this season here, Chris. It's Lemke versus Brock. I've lost count of how many rounds we played so far between these two when the bell rings.
Yeah, last week it was Brock in the point and Lemke in second. Let's see if they can switch it up here tonight. Brock doing a good job here. I see he's got his cheering section in the YouTube chat. But right now, Lemke with some good pace, but Brock not letting anything go. Back in the Mustang again for this week and doing everything he can to catch Lemke right here as we are just a couple laps into this race.
And at the moment, well, Brian Lemke searching for his second win of the series. Michael Brock looking for his fourth. As Justin Aitchison battling away with the man from St Kitts and Nevis as the two Aston Martins, Kevin Zhu just in front of Aitchison in the 175. Kevin Zhu running in the 243. There's Russell Abraham, who had a bit of a difficult race back at Long Beach last week. He was battling for around about 19th and 20th position, come to checkered flag, and he's up to P11. He's up 2 spots from 13th. Harrison Mealy has already had to dive into pit lane. He spent 7.3 seconds in pit road. Rob Phelan, in the meantime, closing in on Joe Mayer, who's moved from Mustang back to BMW, but there's been drama for a Mustang, and that is Sean Teeter with the front end ripped off off of Dearborn's finest. That is not what you wanted, and the Cam Waters Monster Energy Tribute Livery Band has ended up in pit road, I'm afraid. Started in 15th position. We're going to have a look now. That's at the tail end of the incident, so whether he's been assisted or whether that might have happened, we're going to have a look now on the slow-mo replay coming out of the final corner. Now, is he going to go wide? Yes, he is, and he rotates and bang, straight into the barriers, pinballs across the circuit. Russell Abraham avoids. Now, who was that was going through? That was a Porsche. That might have been, I think maybe Morgan Smith might have gone through on that one, or maybe even Dan Corrido, because Dan Corrido, who we normally see in a Mustang, he has switched over to Porsche machinery. But that was a very, very lucky escape for Russell Abraham, who's now up into 10th position. Meantime, Michael Brock has closed the gap to about 0.4 of a second, as we've nearly completed. Oh no, trouble for the Lego Speed champions, number 90. Rob Phelan also into the barriers, hard hit on the front of the Mustang. And luckily enough, he's got a short run to pit road.
I was thinking the exact same thing. If you're going to do it somewhere, you might as well do it right where you can get right into the pits for Rob. But one of our favorite liveries out there knocked the front bumper off of this thing. Let's see if we can see what happened to Rob. Just lost the back of the car. Yeah, just got in there.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I could see that he was already working that steering wheel like a whirling dervish, and unfortunately back end stepped out to the right, and Rob Phelan unfortunately now having to deal with that. And it was Dan Corrido that had to do the avoidance with all 4 wheels on the grass, and would have got a couple of incident points for that, to keep out of the way of a heavily damaged Mustang in the form of Sean Teeter. Meantime, we've got Joshua Soto and Mike Bond. Now, Mike Bond, new livery for this week. So a very big change from the very... the touch between the pair. Mike Bond, that's a bump and run if you wanted to call it supercars territory. But Mike Bond, little touch on the right rear of Joshua Soto, unsettles the 07. And Mike Bond now is officially up to P3 overall. He muscled his way past in the Mustang, but I think Joshua Soto's saying, come on, that's not exactly cricket. You need to give that place back.
Yeah, it looked like Soto was trying to close back up on the back bumper. Bond kind of give him a little payback, but Bond able to get clear by a couple of car lanes. But looking really sharp. Our mid-pack Larry's leader right now got himself up on the podium, so Mike's been looking really good the last few weeks and looking really good here again today at Canada.
Yeah, definitely. As Thomas Fisher and Brian Zinn go into battle over P6, down the hill, up over the slight elevation climb. They've gone through into Moss. And good evening, Jen. Hope you and Jason are doing well. No livery will live up to Corey Mitchell's Mazda rendition of Kruger. Okay, well, I'll have to take a look at that one. And but meantime, Michael Brock right with Brian Lemke. Here we go. The battle for the race lead has already started in earnest. The gap is about 0.2 of a second, and Michael really finding some great traction around the track here. But as we always know, BMW always provides a good all-rounder. But meantime, Thomas Fisher looking on the inside of Jesse Mia for 5th place, who's right behind Josh Soto. And then we look a little bit further back, Kevin Zhu battling away with Dan Corrido in the 320 Porsche. Now, the thing is, for those that did have joined us for the very first time, there is no penalty for any of these drivers changing cars at any rounds. There's now the recovering Kyle Mavis battling away with John Cooper. This is for 16th position overall. Kyle Mavis at the minute finds himself P5 in the mid-pack Larry's as the Mustang trying to get to stretch its legs if it can, but John Cooper very, very, very defensive in the 77 Sky Lounge Motorsports Porsche. Jesse Mia, however, is swapping places like musical chairs with Brian Zinn, and Zinn gets through. That's for P6. And also in the meantime, keep your eyes on Morgan Smith in the 285 just behind. So Morgan Smith, who's also shown great pace. We also saw him taking second place behind Chad Sanoski, who didn't make it on time onto the grid. Morgan Smith has also got a wicked turn of pace in that Cayman, and he is catching Jesse Mia in the 172. But more to the point, we are about to complete lap number 6. Nevertheless, well, Brian Lemke in the meantime has actually broken away to the tune of a second ahead of Mike Brock at the moment. So Mike's got some work to do in that Mustang. He's got to get those horses running.
Yeah, Michael Brock was right up on the back bumper of Lemke, but kind of falling back here just a little bit. Let's see if he can get back up to the front. I'm also looking back here at Ryan Ryder. Ryan started back in 19th, up 10 spots. Now he finds himself with his hands full of Russell Abraham, but Ryan doing a really good job here, moving all the way up to 9th right now. So let's see if he can keep that Mustang going forward.
Yeah, currently running second in the mid-pack Larry's at the moment. So at the minute, top 3 as we approach 10 minutes completed out of the 45. Brian Lemke leads the way overall, ahead of Michael Brock. Joshua Soto in 4th position overall rounds out your top 3 in the pros. It's Mike Bond in the 123 Mustang that leads the mid-pack Larry's. We go down to 9th position, the 181 of Ryan Ryder, who's certainly fending off the likes of Russell Abraham and Thomas Lathrop. Lathrop, who's had a good one. Dan Corrido, however, has dropped a couple of places and he's off the track, and that's off of Moss. So was he pushed, or did he do it all himself is the big question. That means that Justin Aitchison has moved up, and it's a touch with Kevin Shue. It unsettles the car, bang over the curbs, car's rotating, back end steps out to the left, and he is around. And Joseph Mayer, you were a lucky individual there, my friend.
Yeah, Dan did a good job of avoiding the incident earlier in the race, but makes a little mistake right there. Gets in the corner a little bit deep, has to get on the brakes hard, ends up catching that curb on the inside, turning around. So let's see if he can recover here. He's all the way back to the 20th right now after losing a few spots, but he's going to see if he can catch Nate right there in front of him. But Greedo with a good recovery here. Didn't like he really did a lot of damage to it. So let's see if he can get his way back to the front. He's got Kyle Mavis now right here behind him as well.
Also spotted drama. Josh Sheps has just got off. James Dean, who's behind him in 23rd position, has also had a little bit of a moment as well. That I did say about speed, confidence and handling. That's what you've got to have here at MOSPORT, as Josh Soto has been passed by Thomas Fisher. So Thomas now up into P4, but that's P3 in the Pro Division. And again, it is good to have Josh Soto back on the grid for this round of the series. Hopefully he did say that he'll try and make as many races as he can, but in the Red Bull Verstappen.com racing livery. Of course, Max himself loving racing in GT3s and GT4s. I think, you know, with what he's achieved with the likes of Chris Lullum, who for many a year has been a big, you know, a tour de force in sim racing. We're going to have a look here. Rob Phelan, oh dear, the Lego Speed Champions Mustang is not having a good day in the office. And this is going to be at Moss. And that is going to be overshooting the corner. Car is understeering. And he's going to hit the gravel. And the back end is going to comply somewhat. But Rob just about kept it on the black stuff there. So well held.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit more of an off there for Rob. Unfortunately, he didn't run into anything this time, but he finds himself way back here in 25th. Another little mistake there from Rob. We usually don't see that out of the Lego car, but the nice thing about being the Lego car, you can just put the pieces back together on it, right, Alex?
Yeah, especially with the fact that Lego's just introduced that smart brick as well, so everything else works on the car quite nicely. Nevertheless, Mike Bond has now become the proverbial uh, cork in the Canadian bottle of red wine, so to speak, as Kyle Mavis closing in on Dan Corrido. So it's Porsche versus Mustang. Now, this is the battle for 20th overall, but more importantly, it is for P5 in the mid-pack Larrys. But Mike Bond at the moment in the... Oh, he's... I was going to say, is he nabbed a sponsor from Travis Pastrana, Black Rifle Coffee? Because for many a year, Travis Pastrana was actually a Red Bull athlete. And then he switched to Black Rifle Coffee. Obviously, I think him and his family might have had enough of energy drinks in the household.
Well, that is some good coffee.
Yeah, well, I need to get myself some at some point. But yeah, I think it's more the case of there's some really good battle pockets happening as Justin Aitchison, who is still battling away with Kevin Zhu for 12th position overall. They're still, and that's the two Aston Martins. Oh, Kyle Mavis, that's a bit of a run wide there. Now, is there, now it looks like there's a little bit of damage just in front of the left front wheel on the bumper. It just comes in at certain angles, so yeah, there is a little bit of damage. So Kyle's probably there's probably like a broken tie rod, or maybe a bent. Apart from some body damage, there'll be some uprights or steering that he's having to work against. But still, the top two have broken away. So Brian Lemke and Michael Brock are embroiled in their own battle. Mike is now starting to close that gap. It's 0.6 of a second as we complete lap number 10. We are nearly coming towards one third of the race completed as we ride on board on the Technicolor Mustang. Good to see Michael back in this car with this wonderful livery as they go down the hill through into... I'm going to read out this quote and saying, this is what his wife Jen has just said in chat. Well, let it be known that Sir Brock had me absolutely convinced that he sucks at this track and would do terribly. Well, Jen, I think he's proving you otherwise tonight as Nate Himmelsbach, and I think that is Rob Phelan, who is unfortunately a lap down. There is going to have to be the blue flag. It's so many lies, all of the lies, says Jen. Well, we won't hold it against him. I don't know if you will, Jen, but we'll leave it to that. Oz Esquilou has now ended up in between Dan Corrido and Kyle Mavis. So Oz has also struck drama in the 911 Mercedes-AMG GT4.
You know, it's odd. It's 2 nights in a row now. We have our yellow submarine. Oz is going to be our yellow submarine here with Apex this series.
Well, yes, he's the Germanic yellow submarine. So, but yeah, I think it. Now look at this. We've got 3 Mustangs in the top 5, second, third, and fourth. So Mike Bond is the mid-pack Larry's meat in a pro sandwich at the moment when it comes to the 3 Mustangs we've got in second, third, and fourth. But yeah, at the minute.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was going to mention that Josh Soto's struggling. The Mustang's definitely showing the better pacer.
Mike Bond has just absolutely lost it. Oh, too much momentum carried through the corner, and Mike Bond has just lost out P3 big time. Oh, you know what? For him to still be P3 up until the 16-minute mark, he was doing so well. But we said about this track, the elevation changes, the camber changes. You know, you can get negative camber. We're going to have a look here, and this is Dylan Foster. Yeah, definitely, Jen. That was definitely a whoopsie from Mr. Bond. But yeah, Dylan Foster. Oh, Dylan. Now this is going into Moss. That's a tank slapper and a half. And now, did he manage to do it? He's nearly managed a Tokyo drift halfway through Moss. Nicely held. You know, I think the thing is we wax lyrical about Dylan. Now you're going to see there's actually some damage to the left front, and then that's where Mike goes off, and the car continues to understeer. So he also picked up some damage, like we saw with Kyle Mavis. So the front left not exactly tracking true on the Mustang. So you've got to have your weapons sharp on your car. And so now that has put Mike in a not so much a precarious position, because the thing is, the next person behind him is Ryan Ryder. Meantime, Kyle Mavis is going to get a black flag, I'm afraid, so he must have hit his 12x incident points, and that is going to mean he's going to have to go through pit lane, I'm afraid. But still, with the lead that he has, it's all about sort of damage limitation now for the number 64 Liquid Death Mustang, as now Joshua Soto closing in on Thomas Fisher. It's Mustang versus Porsche once again. So Kyle Mavis will have another 2 laps, not including this one. Josh Sheps has just had a mechanical black flag and has come to pit road. So unfortunately for the 338 Mercedes-Benz, that has picked up damage somewhere. So we're going to have a replay. Now this is coming through into turn 1. And let's see how the Mercedes reacts. Is he going to carry too much speed out of the corner? Yep. One wheel on the dust, and
big hit.
Bang. That is a big old hit, and the right front took the brunt of the impacts, and the rear end gets the afters, I'm afraid. So broken for right front. That was it. Josh Sheps in the pit lane, and he's been there for over 45 seconds. Joshua Soto to the inside. He gets through, and that's job done on Thomas Fisher. So a nice little manoeuvre there by the 07 Porsche Cayman. But Thomas Fisher, who's looked really, really racy all night long so far and has made up 2 places. Biggest mover at the moment, still Ryan Ryder, but he's dropped down to 12th position as we now see Kevin Xu, who is ahead of Ryan. We've got this 4-car train. It's being led by Russell Abraham. Kevin Xu trying to see if he can stretch the legs on the Aston Martin Vantage GT4. As Lathrop goes on the brakes, they're heading up to Moss Corner, having exited Quebec. And through they go, up the elevation change. Blind apex corner to the right-hand side, then another right to now bring them onto the fastest part of the circuit. The drivers are topping out at about 150 plus miles an hour down the Mario Andretti straightaway. So we're seeing speeds of, I think seeing speeds of anywhere between 148 to 152 miles an hour through the trap being recorded. As Kevin Xu just waiting for his moment as they go through the S's. He might get the inside line if Thomas Lathrop accidentally opens the door, which the 84 does not do. But good job here by Russell Abraham. He's having a lot better race as we hit 20 minutes completed, 25 to go. Russell Abraham still holding on to that 9th, but Lathrop to the inside at turn 1, mounting the curbs big time with about 2/3 of the vehicle being off the white lines, and Kyle Mavis comes in for the trundle of shame down the pit lane, I'm afraid. Black flag penalty to be served by the number 64. Obviously, there we go, the man from St. Kitts and Nevis gets through. So Kevin Xu through on Thomas Lathrop, change for P10. That's allowed Russell Abraham to claw away to about the tune of about 4 to 5 car lengths as they go through into Moss. Very deceiving complex here at the turn 5. But then it's this nice long blast. They get to really open up the taps on all their respective vehicles by putting the hammer down on the Mario Andretti straightaway. But look at the run that Kevin Xu has got on Russell Abraham. He might try for an inside liner or an outside haymaker to go through into the S's, and here comes the Aston Martin with a big head of speed. To the outside goes Kevin Xu. He's going to turn it in right. Will Russell Abraham give him room? Yes, he will, but Kevin Xu goes a bit too deep in the corner. Lathrop goes through. Will Ryder get through? Just about.
Yeah, Kevin took a pretty aggressive move right there, but it's going to cost him 2 or 3 spots now. He looked to have a good run on the outside of Abraham, but makes a mistake right there. Lets Lathrop back by, Ryder back by, and actually Justin Etchison also looking to get around here as well. So Kevin looked at some pretty good pace, but it just shows you there's just one mistake here. You lose that momentum. And just, I mean, he's now lost 3 spots now, looking to lose a 4th right there if Joseph Mayer gets around him.
Yeah, very true. And still, all that hard work that he's done has just been undone in one swift wrong manoeuvre that's happened. And he tried. You know, you can't knock him for trying anyway, but that's still going to give him the opportunity to get through on Justin Aitchison, who's mainly been his main rival in this race so far. as Joshua Soto has managed to bolt away into the distance ahead of Thomas Fisher, who's got Brian Zinn in the 82 Mercedes right behind him. Jesse Mears not too far behind in the 172 Porsche. Now this is the battle for P4 on the road. Meantime, Kyle Mavis, I've not seen move out of the pit lane. So whether he, as Joshua Soto has been the first of the main group of leaders to come into the pit lane. So the 07 Porsche will now take his pit stop. Kevin Shue and Joseph Mayer now pit as well. So we are going to see probably within the next 5 minutes a full circle of pit stops as Brian Lemke has lost the lead to Michael Brock. What has happened to Mr. Consistency? Oh, and he's off the track. Oh no, Brian Lemke, he's had major dramas. He's on the grass, the rear wheels are spinning. What on earth has happened to Mr. Consistency? He's out of the top 10.
He's trying to get
what a drama.
Trying to get it turned around here. I'm not quite sure what happened.
Has he picked up damage?
Doesn't look.
No, I'm wondering. Well, the thing is, it might be the slightest touch against the wall, and that could even cause the slightest amount of damage. So let's have a look. It's going to be on his own, I bet. Right, he's turning left into the corner. Let's see what happens here. As we go, this wonderful slow-mo. Big thanks to Chris Murphy for doing the production behind the scenes. He just goes straight on.
I think his cat crawled up on his pedals.
Oh dear.
It looks like something along those lines. It doesn't look like.
Yeah.
Because his wheel came unplugged or some kind of a technical issue there for Lemke, unfortunately, because it didn't really look like a mistake. He just kind of pulled off the track right there.
Well, that has been a big, big development, and now Michael Brock has got a 7.6 second advantage over Brian Zinn, who now runs P2. So big dramas here at MOSPORT, and Brian Lemke, well, he did have a 35-point lead coming into this round of this series, and now, well, in that respect, you have to look at it from this. That where now Brian at the moment is currently P12, but it's P9. So that's effectively Jen just said Mike literally had me lock up the cat so he could race without fear. Oh well.
It's definitely something odd right there. I don't, unless something became disconnected or because it even took him a while to get going again there. So maybe.
Oh,
is that Abraham?
Now that you say that, that's Russell Abraham has also had drama. So two of the Sky Lounge Motorsports, both the BMWs, and Russell Abraham's going to have to. He's towed it. He's towed it to pit lane. Oh, big damage to the front of the Beamer.
Let's see if we can see what happened.
Believe it.
Okay. There's so many events going on. I clicked on the wrong thing. Let's see if we can get to Russell here. He's back on the. There we go. Right here it is. Yeah, so here it is. Oh, him and Lathrop. Is there help, or did Russell just get off the racetrack here?
Well, this is going to be rather interesting because he's going to turn the car in. Oh, there's going to be a touch between the pair, and yep, he's squeezing, and then round goes the car, bangs. Oh, slow impact, but hard hit for Russell Abraham.
Yeah, it looked like he gave.
Can't believe.
Yeah, it looked like gave him a little space right there, but it looks like maybe Thomas kind of pushed up through the corner and just a little bit of understeer and caused him and Russell to get together right there. But Russell kind of turned in at the same time, so it looked like they were just going for the same piece of real estate.
Maybe he thought he had enough real estate to cover off Thomas, and that has caused big dramas for him. Meantime, at the moment, Justin Aitchison and Ryan Ryder are now up into third and fourth respectively, so they're staying out for longer, and this is where the 3000 IQ strap might be able to work for some of the drivers here, including Michael Brock, who is at the very moment running away with it. Jesse Meir now into pit road from second. As looks like we're going to see a few cars making their way out of pit lane, but it is a case of now, well, Aitchison and Ryder have just pitted, so has Lemke. So I would imagine that's either direct drive, steering wheel, or pedals disconnect of some description. I think it's more going to be the former rather than the latter. But this means that Michael can now push that Mustang. And look at this, Thomas Fisher has come out after 13.5 seconds. And Jen, no, he hasn't pitted yet. And he's got a 36.5 second lead. So I think what Mike's strategy would be is to stretch it out as long as possible as Brian Zinn dives up the inside of Thomas Fisher. And Thomas Fisher not quite clearly happy because he had the high beams flashing at the 82 Maximum Efforts Motorsports Mercedes. So this is going to be the opportunity that if Michael can keep the pit stop to maybe within 10 to 12 seconds, not including transfer time. Russell Elizondo has now rejoined the race in 17th position as Michael finally pits on lap 20. And look, the lead he's got is going to be quite significant. So here is the move. Don't say it, Jen. I'm not going to mention what you just said in the YouTube chat, but in some respects, that was Thomas Fisher opening the door. He just understeered into the corner, and Brian Zim got him.
Yeah,
I don't see any need for Thomas to have put on the flashers. But right, Michael is okay. He's just at the end of pit lane, so this is going to be very, very close. Now he will be getting up to speed very shortly, and he will come out, I'm hoping, in front of these two here. Yeah, Michael Brock now returns to the race lead. He had enough time to cover off both Zinn and Fisher and comes out with around about a 3.5 second advantage with 16 minutes on the timer left to go. So good play there by Michael to stretch it for an additional couple of laps in comparison with Zinn and Fisher, who both pitted on the end of lap 18. Brian Lemke rounding out the top 12. Biggest loser of the night, I'm afraid, for our good friend Mr. Lemke, as he will now have to try and see what he can do. But with just over a quarter of an hour remaining, the man who got the fastest lap of the race at 1 minute 23.222 has now got to see if he can wind that car up to full race pace. But he's got Kevin Xu a little bit further in front. So biggest move of the night, Ryan Ryder at one point had made up 11 places, now has made up 8 places, and actually is 4.3 seconds ahead of the 0.41. So Ryan Ryder looking very, very good for what would be P3. Mike Bond still continues to lead the mid-pack Larrys in 7th position. Justin Aitchison is our second place driver currently in the mid-pack Larrys in the 175 British, the nice sort of metallic British racing green with the red accents and the black sort of like split colour livery on that Aston Martin. It does look rather nice, that livery on that Aston. Very stereotypical of a lot of colours for the a lot of livery for that Aston Martin. Thomas Fisher, it looks a bit like a it kind of reminds me of the Falcon tyres livery that you see on the Porsches that normally run at the ADAC 24 hours at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. But Falcon tyres at one point did actually sponsor Irish drifting legend James Dean in the Falcon tyres livery for a couple of seasons for Formula D, so drifting rather than sports cars, as Joshua Soto closing in. And look, now we've got a three-way battle for second position. So Joshua Soto has been closing in big time on Thomas Fisher and Brian Zinn. And the fact of the matter is that Michael Brock is 3.3 seconds up the road. So he's got to just basically cross the T's, dot the I's, whereas these three are going to be scrapping like children in a playground over the last swing. So this gives an opportunity for Soto to really showcase his prowess. Obviously, we nearly got a good show. Well, we got a good showcase of that at Sebring 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately, in the pit stop, dropped the ball a little bit and ended up, I think, finishing. I think it was P3 or P4, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, your memory's better than mine. I'm not going to question it.
Well, he was at the sharp end. Let's put it this way. But an unfortunate mistake in the pit lane meant he did not end up winning the race. Kent Kruger and Thomas Lathrop battling away over what is 14th on the road. But more importantly, that is effectively P11 in the Pro Division. Kent sticking with the Porsche Cayman, having been in the BMW M4 a little bit earlier on in the season. But yeah, Brian Lemke now in 11th position as well. Josh Sheps has been in the pits now for 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Looking at where Kyle Mavis is. Kyle's actually come back onto the track after his 18-second pit stop, which would have been for I'm wondering if that was a regular pit stop, because he did have a black flag, so he must have served it. But meantime, these three, line astern into turn one, Zinn, Fisher and Soto, you covered with an A4 sheet of paper, you'd have just about enough square real estate to do so.
Yeah, Soto looks to have the pace right here, and he's going to look to the inside of Fisher, not able to make the move. But Joshua Soto coming back to life here. He kind of fell back a little bit early on in the race, but he looks to be the faster of these three if he can just find a way around Fisher and then try to get on Zinn. And look, he's going to look one more time. He's going to look to the inside one more time on Fisher. Going to switch back around, back to the other side. Going to look to the left side, inside corner right here. He might have a line, but just have to be switched back up, going up the hill here. He's going to be back up on the outside. So Soto doing everything he can to get around Fisher right now. He wants to get his chance to get to the front. He's got about 10 minutes. If he can clear these two, does he have anything for Michael Brock?
I don't think so, with a 4.6 second advantage. And it's really down here at the Mario Andretti straightaway heading into the S's. He's got to try and use the double toe here, but with the amount of torque that the Mercedes and the Mustang both have in their pockets, the Porsche can sometimes be at a little bit of a disadvantage, so to speak. They go through the S's as we get this wonderful helicam shot heading into the final corner of the left-hander at turn 10, known as White's. And we have completed 24 laps of racing as the doors slightly open here for Josh Soto. Shows his nose to Thomas Fisher. Fisher closes that gap once again as they go down the hill through into turn one. Then it's going to come up to turn two here at Clayton, over the crest, down the dip, lined apex on the descent, and Joshua Soto right on the rear of the number 272 of Thomas Fisher. Now through into Quebec, and then it's the run up the slight incline through into Moss. Morgan Smith and Jesse Mia, the two Porsches, are battling away over P5 overall, and the gap between them is about 0.4 of a second, but gap between Zinn, Fisher and Soto is about less than half a second, as you can just see coming through out of Moss and then out onto the Mario Andretti straightaway. It's a good showing there, and it is going to be the case that now Mike Bond is battling away. Kevin Zhu trying to get through, as that is going to be, I think that might be Dylan Foster again, who went off, I'm afraid, in the run up to Moss. It's been a bit of his nemesis, and look at the front end of that Porsche. That has seen better days. The left side completely pushed in on the front end of it, so we did see him do his nearly Tokyo Drift impersonations. He comes underneath the Continental Bridge over the crest and down the hill from Quebec and into Moss. Now, is the same thing going to happen? Yes, it is. But this time, the car snaps to the right on the back end and it's hurtling into the wall. Left front takes the brunt of the accident. Dylan Foster with a big amount of damage, and no surprise, mechanical black flag. Meantime, Joshua Soto's throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at Thomas Fisher, who will not budge out of the way. And more to the point, well, Soto's trying to throw the haymaker to the outside. Can he get the inside line for the next corner? He is going to go for it. He's about half a car length in front. Can he get the over-under done by Moss? Yes, he can. Great move there by Josh Soto through on Thomas Fisher. It was all about timing, and it was all about confidence on where to place the car. And Joshua Soto gave us a textbook example.
Yeah, Soto's just been trying to make a move on Fisher there for a couple laps. I looked up in the YouTube chat. I see Jen. She's saying if Fisher doesn't move, Soto's going to take him out. But fortunately, it didn't come to that. Soto found some space. And look at him now. He's going to look to the inside of Zinn. What a nice move right there from Soto.
No, but Zinn kept it around the outside of him. Brian Zinn kept it pinned. Well held there, Brian. And now they're going to come out of the final corner. And now Joshua Soto's got to tee up Brian Zinn. Now we're going to go into turn one. Zinn to the traditional racing line and cuts across, gives Soto room. I have to say, Brian Zinn, that was a really, really good defensive manoeuvre there, because he kept enough space between his rear bumper and the front bumper of Soto, so they wouldn't come into contact, even if Mr. Netcode decided to join the party.
Take a look at that. Let's take a look at that here real quick.
Yeah, so let's just have a look at this. So this is coming out of the Mario Andretti straightaway, and they'll be heading into the S's. So you see here, Soto to the inside. Okay, just keep your eyes on Brian Zinn. Opens up the steering, keeps the throttle pinned, carries the momentum around the corner. Soto was on the brakes, and there's another dab on the brake pedal there, because what he wants to do is to not get past by taking somebody out. And that was good sportsmanship there by Joshua Soto. But Brian Zinn had the presence of mind. He went, well, if you're... and I think I kind of agree with Jen of what she just said. She said, Fisher's hanging back, waiting for them to wreck. Yeah, it's like Shere Khan from the Jungle Book, waiting in the reeds for Mowgli. But look at what this is doing. Jesse Mia and Morgan Smith have now joined the party. So this is going to be the case of Brian Zinn is the man that's holding on to that second position once again around the outside. At turn one, keeps the throttle nicely pedalling. And Joshua Soto unable to get through. Now down into Clayton. You can just see that Brian Zinn able to place that 82 Mercedes very, very nicely indeed. Gets on the brakes going through into Quebec. Now it's down the dip and then up the incline towards Moss. Brian Zinn is putting on a defensive masterclass right here at MOSPORT. No matter what Joshua Soto is trying to do, into Moss they go, and it's still line astern. And this is where, with 5 3/4 minutes to go, Michael Brock has now got an 8.2 second advantage. So he can go happily on his merry way, whereas everyone behind are battling over the scraps on the dinner table. Soto's going to try and do everything to get past Brian Zinn, as in by fair means, not foul, I might add. And now to the inside goes Josh Soto, and finally the deadlock is broken.
Yeah, Soto has been back there for about the last 5 or 6 laps, actually, feeling like he's had better pace, but just not able to get through. But he is now through on Zinn. And like you said, Zinn was just doing a great job. He was placing that Mercedes every place he needed to be. But Soto now has clear. Let's see if he's got some pacer. But like you just said a minute ago, Brock with an 8.5 second lead. Now with only 4 minutes left to go, Soto is going to have to do something magical if he's going to have a chance to win this race.
All dramas again for the Lego Speed Champions Mustang. Rob Phelan has just got off track again. Meantime, Dan Corrido battling away with John Cooper. This is for 12th position overall, but it's not a position for each of the respective classes, because Dan Corrido in the 320 Porsche rounds out the top 3 in the mid-pack Larrys. Meantime, Brian Lemke closing in on Ryan Ryder. Now, the thing is that Brian is currently sitting P9, which will give him 11 points. He has got the fastest lap of the race. He has got pole position, but I don't know how many incidents. He might not have a clean race or minimal amount of incidents. So Michael, I think, by his luck, he might get an additional 4 points for his efforts here. If he does, then that closes up the gap significantly, because that will be a 13-point swing in the favour. Actually, no, it won't be. It'll be probably an 11-point swing in the favour of Michael Brock, which will chop the lead down from what it is to about 20 or so points going into next round at Virginia International Raceway. But we are 3 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. There is the man in the Technicolor Dreamcoat Mustang, Michael Brock, who will be the most successful driver in terms of race wins this season. He is on course for win number 4, as Morgan Smith and Jesse Mia go into battle. Morgan Smith to the outside. Mia keeps the inside line, but Morgan Smith goes off the track, 2 wheels off, I'm afraid, and that causes the 285 to have a little bit of a moment on the grass just completely understeers, whereas Brian Zinn still battling away over P3. It's not a second anymore because Josh Soto's got him up the road by about 1.1 seconds, and there goes the 07 Verstappen.com livery Porsche. He's away and clear. And then next time around, it will be 2 laps to go for Michael Brock. He will be laughing all the way to the bank, so to speak, as on the brakes goes Thomas Fisher. He was carrying so much speed. He went on the brakes a little bit later than Brian Zinn, who was, I have to say, out of defensive masterclasses, Brian Zinn has been absolutely on point this week. But here we see a replay with Kevin Zhu. Now this is the run up to Moss. He goes off the track. And is this car going to have a little bit of an understeer moment? Yeah, a little bit, but not too dramatic there for Kevin Zhu. Meantime, we are on the penultimate lap. Kevin Zhu's had another moment. Oh, he's lost the back end, and that is coming through the S's. Oh, Kevin, hold your brakes, just rejoin nicely.
Like a 5-point turn going for him here. He's just trying to get back out there.
Yeah, but the thing was, in the pre-race briefing, it was said, hold your brakes until you are able to move.
Yeah, that's exactly
what the good thing was.
Yeah, he backed up a little bit right there, just enough to not get onto the racetrack, but unfortunately, it still cost him a lot of time.
Yeah, it did. So, unfortunately for him, that's going to be a few positions lost. He's down to P12 overall. Meantime, next time around, let's head to our race leader, Michael Brock, who is very shortly going to come across the line and take the white flag. He's got an 8-second advantage out of the final corner. White flag in the air, and it's just under 2.5 miles. Michael Brock, the 421 in the Ford Mustang. He's back to his weapon of choice, in the words of Fatboy Slim. And he might get the opportunity here to really, really close that gap. And bearing in mind, if he gets that clean race bonus, that's an additional four points in his pocket. And when you consider the gap between him and Brian Lemke, who will take, I think, 1 point for pole position. I think they also get 1 point for fastest lap. So in that respect, it will be in the favour of Michael by about 11 points. So that will close the gap to around about, I think, looking at it from this perspective, it was 35 when we started, so that will bring the gap down to about 24 points. We hit 0 on the timer, and down the Mario Andretti straightaway for the final time here in week 8 out of 12. What a run it's been. He's kept the pressure on. He hasn't buckled under it. And it is going to be through the S's and through whites for the final time. And for 4th successive race victory this season, it's Michael Brock that does the business here in Canada. He wins week 8 by a country mile. That man is on an absolute another level at the moment. Joshua Soto, flashing the headlights aplenty, takes P2. Brian Zinn rounds out your overall top 3, finally staying ahead of Thomas Fisher. Joseph Mayer will round out the top 7, and it will be a 2nd successive race win in the mid-pack Larrys. Out of the final corner, it's Mike Bond once again who wins in the Mustang, and he even goes grass tracking for good measure. Finishes just ahead of Brian Lemke. Ryan Ryder takes P2 and up 10 places from 21st at the start. It is going to be Dan Carrido that is going to take P3 in the mid-pack Larrys division. Well, what can you say? It's a repeat of what happened last time out at Long Beach. Brock and also Bond, the Mustangs, rule the roost here at MOSPORT in Canada.
Another exciting week here with Apex. These guys never disappoint. Every single Tuesday night we come out here, they put on a show. Michael Brock, really curious to see what happened to Lemke here. If we can find something in the chat, I've been watching the Discord to see if anybody said anything. But a nice win there for Michael. I think we'd have had a heck of a battle if Lemke hadn't had that issue, though.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it's one of those things that You look at it from this perspective, and just going to give you all an insight. Michael took the win at Monza. Then he won at round 5, which was Sebring. Won at Long Beach. Now that's 3 in a row. That is 3 in a row, I have to say, for Mike Brock. No, not quite. No, Sebring he was P3, P3 I think he might have been. But yeah, he's had 4, so that is 3 out of the last 4 wins that he's had. And more to the point, well, we're going to go to our Apex Sim Racing shop post-race show, and let's bring in the man who, according to his wife Jen, was dreading this race. It's Mike. Let's bring him in, Mike Brock. 3 wins out of 4 weeks. You are on a tear, my friend. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. This was a bit of a sour one with what happened to Brian. He had some I don't know, it was wheel issues or I'm not sure, some kind of hardware issue. I
Yeah,
think.
that's what we were kind of thinking, because he just like literally went straight on, and we thought it might have either been direct drive or steering wheel that might have caused the drama, because the car just went straight on and he lost a big amount of time. I mean, he eventually finished P9 overall, but still, nevertheless, a win
Yeah.
is still a win, even
Yeah. No.
though
Yeah.
it's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah. So actually, when it happened, he just went over the radio and said something like, "I'm selling everything I own." So, so he was pretty pissed, and I'm kind of bummed for him because he was looking forward to this track out of all of them all season. So, and he was super quick. So honestly, he had me beat. Like I was just like in his draft. He was a couple tenths faster than me, I think, every lap. So I was just kind of sitting there. I'd like to say I was fuel saving, but no, I was doing everything I could to keep up with him. And just hoping that I was taking care of my tires better, or maybe some kind of
Mm.
like undercut in the pits.
Well,
But
I was going to say, your good lady Jen was saying pit stops are his kryptonite. Well, you're nailing your pit stops, my friend. Like
uh,
you're sort of you're being safe, you're being cautious, but you still came out
right, yeah,
3.5 seconds out. So when we saw, I think it was Brian Zinn and Thomas Fisher battling away over second position before Josh Soto decided to throw his 2 cents into the ring. You timed it right. You didn't rush. You just thought, okay, what do I need to do to get out in front of them? And you made it work. That's the main thing.
yeah,
Plus, you went 2 laps longer than them, and that was the crucial point. It was those additional 2 laps where you knew, right, I've got to push a little bit more, but I don't want to ruin my tires in the process.
that's right. Yeah, no, I'm glad that worked out. I think they might have made up a little bit of time in the pits. I did take it easy because there was a bunch of walls. I think this is like a pit entrance that you can kind of get sideways in if you're going too hot. So yeah, I tried to take it easy because I had a pretty good lead at that point.
But still, nevertheless, how's young Jason getting on in his recovery? How's he doing?
Oh yeah, he's great. His tonsil stuff is good. Yeah, everything was great. Um, but yeah, looking forward to next week.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Mustang, we know you can definitely stretch the legs on the back stretch there coming out of Oak Tree. So hopefully it should play to the Mustang strength, I would imagine.
Let's hope so. Fingers crossed. Um, yeah, so yeah, shout out to Jen as always, and this is a special shout out to Brian Lemke for this one. It kind of feels like I stole first place, but he got first in my heart, just so he knows.
Fantastic. Well, Michael, congratulations on taking your 4th win of the series. We'll see you next week for week 9 at VIR.
All right,
Congratulations.
thanks, take care.
So a big thank you there to Mike for having a chat with us. Next up, let's bring in the man who has returned to the series after a week away after Sebring. Joshua Soto joins us. Josh, good evening. Great job to fire your way through on Thomas and Brian in the latter stages. You really, really had to work for it, though.
Oh yeah, it was a very tough race. Very tough racing in the Porsche at this track. I don't know why, but for some reason there was just like a ton of understeer. But yeah, it was definitely a challenging race.
I mean, in some respects, there's always a bit of fun in having a challenge, though, isn't there?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what That's why. That's one of the reasons why I love racing. Is it's a very challenging sport, and when you have challenges like these, it only makes you a better driver.
Yeah, like you said, with the Porsche having the understeer, I mean, how much were you having to sort of save your tires in terms of the front end because you're having to try and really compensate with the over rotation sometimes when you're trying to get through the corners, especially when you were diving up the inside at turn one, and Brian was just able to keep that Mercedes in front of you for as long as he could.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tire management was definitely a key factor here. Especially towards the end of the race, I noticed that uh, that there seemed to be like a lot of tire wear issues. So yeah, maintaining the tires, it kind of helped with the understeer, surprisingly, to save tires. But yeah, going onto the back straight was really tough in this car. For some reason, like even with draft, it's hard to catch up to the cars ahead. So, but yeah, understeer and tire management kind of end up paying uh, in the end.
Well, still, second place, having started sixth on the grid after what could have been a better qualifying, a pretty good result. So well done tonight. Before we let you go, Josh, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank my friends, my family. I would also like to thank all the admins and all the people who are uh, in the who make this league possible. And I also like to thank my sponsor, Academy Sim Racing.
Brilliant. Well, Josh, are we going to see you next week for VIR? I know that you've probably been busy between Sebring and this week. Are we going to see you over some of the rounds for the remainder of this GT4 Tuesday series here on Apex this?
Oh yeah, for sure. You'll see me. Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, well, hopefully we'll see you next week for week 9 at VIR, but well done tonight on the second place finish.
Thank you.
Okay, last person to have on the Apex Sim Racing Shop post-race show. Let's bring in our third place driver, Brian Zinn joins us. Brian, good evening.
Evening, gentlemen.
Well, you definitely got your elbows out tonight, my friend. That was a bit of a tough fight to try and hold on to second for as long as you did.
It was even tougher while I was trying to fuel save to make it to the finish.
Oh, crikey! How much? So, from what point on in the race were you actually trying to fuel save? Because I mean, Joshua was trying to throw everything, not just the NFL playbook, but the kitchen sink at you at the same time.
Yeah, it was about 4 or 5 laps after the pit stop. I think I looked at the fuel calculator and it was showing that I was going to have a deficit, and I was like, that's didn't seem right, but I had better start saving. And yeah, I needed to save every single ounce of it. I think I finished with 0.08 gallons across the line. So yeah, I was trying to hold him back and succeeding for the most part. I was trying to back Thomas up into Josh and have them fight. And I was waiting for Thomas to kind of fall off because he had a quicker pit stop than I did. And I was like, if I'm short, I know darn well enough he's got to be short. And it didn't seem to happen. So I guess he was using my draft to mitigate that fuel deficit if he had one. But yeah, once Josh made that move, I think for the second or third time, I just like I have to let him go. I can't keep fighting it. So, but yeah, it was a great battle there, second through fourth and fifth, even with Jesse early on in the race, and just terrible luck for Lemke with his steering wheel issue that dropped him out of contention before the pit stops happened.
Yeah, but nevertheless, that makes it, I think, your second podium of the season. So well done tonight on the P3. Before we let you go, Brian, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Uh, as always, you guys for being able to put the broadcasts on. It's nice having broadcasts from you guys twice a week. Kudos to Kent and all the admins at Apex this for putting on this league and doing some really good recruiting, get some fast guys in here and really upping the challenge week in and week out. So, but yeah, I mean, other than that, just my Maxima for Motorsports teammates. They were watching on stream tonight, and so forth. But yeah, I needed that one after a disastrous race at Long Beach last week. So hope to carry this momentum forward into next week.
Brilliant. Well, Brian, thanks for joining us on the post race show, and we'll see you next week for round 9 at VIR. Well done tonight.
Cheers, gentlemen. See you next week.
And that concludes our Apex Sim Racing Shop post-race show here on Racer Nexus. There is your provisional top 10. Michael Brock winning by just over 8 seconds ahead of Joshua Soto. Brock taking his 4th win of the series, 3 wins out of the last 4 rounds, and seems to be pretty much unstoppable. No matter if he's in a Mustang or a Mercedes. Brian Zinn, who we've just spoken to, rounds out your top 3. Thomas Fisher and Jesse Mia round out the top 5 overall. Morgan Smith, Joseph Mayer, Brian Lemke, Kevin Zhu, and John Cooper round out your top 10. Mike Bond did finish on the road in 9th position overall, but Michael Brock is the talk of the town once again on Apex this GT4 Tuesdays. And there you see Mike Bond, Ryan Ryder, and Dan Carrido being your top 3 in the mid-pack Larrys. Kyle Mavis and Nate Himmelsbach ran out the top 5. And there you see James Dean, Sean Teeter, Rob Phelan, Dylan Foster, and Justin Aitchison running out the top 10 in the division. But Chris, I have to say, Michael Brock, this might have been his bogey track, but it did not seem like that tonight.
No, Michael had really good pace. He's kind of taking that win a little. I don't know what's the right term there, but he's not as excited about it as he probably should be. I know Lemke had some problems, but Michael was right there with him. It would have just taken just one small mistake from Lemke, and Michael would have had the lead right there anyway. But you take the wins however you can get them. I've won races on the last lap and on the first lap. And if a guy crashes out in front of you or whatever, they have a mistake, and you end up crossing the line first, that is still a victory. And congratulations to Michael. He was in the right place at the right time, comes home with another win, and closes the gap there on Lemke for the points championship as well.
Yeah, by my reckoning, that's probably going to be around about an 11-point gain for Michael Brock, which will probably put him about 23, 24 points behind Brian Lemke. But from Canada, we head to the countryside of Virginia, as Virginia International Raceway will be the scene as we head into the final third of the Apex this GT4 Tuesdays iRacing League. And you can join us same place, same time next week here on the Racer Nexus Network. You've been in the company of myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Chris Murphy here in the Racer Nexus broadcast booth. What a wonderful race it's been here at MOSPORT. We've had great close quarter battles, a few incidents here or there, but Michael Brock and Mike Bond bring Dearborn to the forefront once again, winning both their respective classes. What will happen at the fast and flowing Virginia International Raceway? You'll have to join us next week to find out. So until next time, race hard, race fair, and until then, well, you better go flat out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.